if I'm leading an organization from an HR perspective, what I want to know are a couple of things. One would be how are my employees going to be able to benefit from this? How is it going to affect and make their lives better first? And then I
Yeah.
want to get to the cost situation. So give me some real life examples of how this can impact employees in a positive way by having this type of benefit versus not having it.
Yeah. So actually, the two things you mentioned, Rollis, are pretty interrelated, right? If the expense structure is out of control, the amount of value you can offer to the employees, there's only 100 cents in a dollar, right? So the higher the expenses are, the higher the profits are, the lower the amount that's going back to um, basically provide claims and financial support for the employees that are out there. So we start with the expense side to pre-negotiate the expenses down from the exorbitant levels that they've traditionally been, and that includes, carrier profits. It includes commissions, and the commissions in this space, and you have to go back historically to how these products came into being. 30 years ago, they weren't really a complement to what the medical plans were. They were sold in the cafeteria. They were called, quote, work site products because a physical person had to come with a clipboard and fill it out and turn it in. And it's expensive to do that. So the commissions to do that were really high. If you fast forward to today, everyone is enrolling these benefits on technology.
Right.
It's part of core enrollment, but the commissions never went away. So the commissions that were there for all the hard work of running around, if you had a nursing home with 30 sites, you had people running in every different direction. That's a really expensive way to do it. Now everybody logs into one piece of technology, but the cost of doing it didn't change. So we're recognizing that.
Okay.
And once you do that, it allows for much richer plan designs and lower costs for the employees. So as I said, the cost and the benefit are interrelated. But where we see the biggest gain, to answer your point very directly from an employee standpoint, is in the plan designs. We will do a line by line. It's for the CHROs that are out there. They don't get into the weeds on this. We do, and we'll show you line by line every single doubling, tripling of the value that can be put into these plants once you cut a lot of the fat out of it.
So, so just want to make sure that I'm clear on this. So from the employees' perspective, they're essentially getting a similar design than what they got before, but perhaps it might be more accessible. Maybe the expenses to them might be a little bit lower, or they're about the same, or perhaps there's more options. How does it affect the employee experience?
Yeah, so the employee experience is identical when we're talking about enrolling, having claims paid, the experience with whoever their carrier is. The claims department at the insurance carrier does not know or care that Beneria exists. They take care of their employees. They want to manage their brand. They want to cross-sell life insurance and disability and all the other things that they do. But where it's really beneficial is, for dislocations, fractures, diagnoses of major diseases. The benefits themselves are expanded at times 2 and 3-fold. So if something is $500, it might be $1,000 because the costs are taken out, and the costs that are there from the expense side can be driven back into the value that can be offered for the same plan. And we could, like for like coverage, cut the pricing by quite a bit, but these are not expensive coverages. So, a 10 or a 20% difference in the cost of a payroll deduction for this isn't a cup of coffee in a month. But if one of your kids has an accident at the playground and ends up in the ER, getting $1,000 instead of $500 is a big deal, right?
Yeah, absolutely.